This is Montenegro, and in this video I'm going to be showing you one of the best day trips we had in Montenegro on our recent visits. In this video you will be seeing how we did an 8-hour day trip and we saw this country by the water, discovering the Bay of Kotor, learning the region's history and exploring the natural landscapes of this beautiful country. You definitely don't want to be missing this one because there is so much that we share in this video. We are going to so many different places and we really enjoyed this trip. One of the best parts was our amazing guide Nina. Nina is probably one of the best guides we've had. She definitely knows how to keep everyone happy even in some not so pleasant situations like the weather turning its back on us. But we're not complaining because we still had such a great time. This day trip definitely had it all. It was full of dramatic scenes, dramatic weather, but we had so much fun and it was full of adventure. So if you are going to be booking this day trip too, I will put a link down below. Do also subscribe to our channel. We are a small channel and it really helps us out, and do like this video if you find it to be helpful. We started our day trip by getting a taxi from our hotel to Old Town Kotor. Old Town Kotor is where our pickup location was. Now you might get a little bit lost here, but just ask for directions and you should be okay. And we all then got together and walked down to where the boats were.
House or apartment. We want the house where you live. So some people think that's impolite, but that's just making friends in Montenegro.
Our first stop on the day trip was Lady of Rocks.
If you've been traveling around, you've noticed that every old town has walls surrounding it. First what you build are the walls, and then you build the inside so you can protect yourself from the enemies attacking all the time. As you can see, Peras is completely exposed. So it's one long promenade with all of the palaces where noble people used to live, and then you have houses. When you go uphill, you have houses where, if I can say, ordinary people used to live. So the front line is with palaces and beautiful churches and great restaurants. If you talk to a Montenegrin, if you say to a local, what's the place that you like in your country, where you guys like to go, probably we would say Peras. And then if you ask us what's the place that you are not really proud of in your country, the place you not really like, where you don't prefer to go, we would say Budva, but I will explain later why Budva. But if you're staying in Kotor, if you're here by car, I advise leaving the car in the parking in Kotor because traffic jams are impossible. Even though it's a 15-minute, 20-minute drive, it can be unbearable. So you can leave the car and use the blue line. Those are buses that my family owns. I'm joking. Those are buses that start from Kotor. They go all the way around the bay, and they go every 40-45 minutes, I believe, and the bus ticket is €2. So if you have an afternoon or you don't know what to do later in the evening for dinner and so on, please just hop on Blue Line bus, 15-20 minutes drive, and you'll be right here. Walk along the promenade, have some delicious seafood, and enjoy beautiful views. This island here, it's called St. George. It has a monastery. The only things, let's say, that you can see on the island is that monastery, those trees, and cemetery. Many noble families from this area buried their family members right there on the island. And that's why the island is known as the Island of Death, because there is a graveyard. Unfortunately, the monastery is no longer active. It's abandoned, and you are not allowed to go to the island. But in our country, when something is not allowed, we really want to do it. So if you see some people there, don't think I was lying. We blame it on you guys. We say, oh, these tourists, what are they doing? They know that they are not allowed to go there. And so you can go behind that passage. There is a hole in the bottom, and you can push your hand through that hole and touch the cliff where those boys found the painting on the 22nd of July in 1452. It was my family against your family. And many problems were that bad that were passed on to generation to generation. So our children have problems, our grandchildren have problems, and so on. And that was built because of that. That was a true hall. Everyone went there, they sat and they talked and they saw
Apologies for the long clip of hearing Nina explaining the history of this place, but I thought who else would be better to doing it than actually Nina herself. I thought if I was to do it, then I might miss out on some key information, and I wanted to keep that clip in so you can actually hear from the expert herself.
During the year that we take the painting out, and there is like a ceremony of taking the painting, and the priests take the painting and they walk on the promenade of Paris. That date is 15th of May, because during 17th century a big battle happened here where people from this area, they defended themselves from the Ottomans. And history information say that the people from here were outgunned and outnumbered. You will have a look, please, here on the right side. That is like the relief that is done in silver. On a cliff where the boys found the painting, we will go behind the altar. Please put the lights on your phones because it's a bit dark inside, and we will go and I will show you where to put your hand and touch the cliff where this painting was found. In 1450. The island that is right over there, and you can see the model of the island here. And one of the soldiers from French part fell in love with a girl from this area here, and she fell in love with him. And they made a promise to each other that they will be together as soon as the war finishes. We will be together. Unfortunately, in one of the attacks, from the island, that girl was killed. And I told you that many of the noble families used to bury their family members there. She was buried there. And not long after that, not long after the day she was killed, the war was finished. And the man said, I made a promise to her. I want to stay here. I want to keep the promise. Even though she died, she's buried, I will stay here and live in the monastery. And that's where he stayed and lived, and when he died, he was buried right next to her. So that's a sad love story. So you can come and maybe take a photo and have a closer look of it, just to show you one thing as well. Here, what I was mentioning, that we have a holiday that is called Fascinata, like the ceremony when we celebrate the 22nd of July. So every 22nd of July, every year, that's a centuries-long tradition. This is how it looks like. All the boats are filled with rocks, and they heard about Roman mosaics in Montenegro. No? Well, you know Roman Empire. Romans, when they built their villas, they decorated them in many different ways. One of the ways of decorating those villas was making mosaics on the floors, and unfortunately, they like those presents you can see in the room over there and in the room over there. So objects from everyday life. And plus, I would like to show you this here, a propeller. This was done by a priest, and it still functions. One spin here gives you 22, 24 spins here. And the most, this room of the museum is called lapidarium. That means like the room of stones. These about this. This lady was waiting for her husband to come back from his journey. He was a sailor, and while she was waiting, she was doing this. More than 2 decades, more than 20 years, she spent doing this. Do you know what is embroidery? So in French there is the same word. How do you say? Embroidery. Yeah, I can never pronounce that. So you take a piece of fabric, you take a needle and a thread, and you go and you make different shapes. So that is embroidery. This lady, when she started doing this, she didn't even have a sketch. She just took a piece of fabric and she started doing this. The most important about this is that it's extremely detailed. So 1 square centimeter, this is the size of 1 square centimeter. More than 600 stitches for 1 square centimeter. 600 stitches.
As you have heard Nina, I'm hoping you can actually sense the passion she has from the screen, although it's not the same actually being with her in person, but she is truly so passionate and she really loves the job she does, and I guess that's why it makes it such a pleasant day trip and has to be one of the best tour guide trips that we have had. And we highly encourage you actually use the link down below that we will put and book this exact same trip, because there are so many different ones. We really feel like if we did go with someone else and not Nina, the experience wouldn't be the same. Next on our list was actually jumping in the refreshing yet cold water, which is in a place called Bijela. I probably pronounced that very incorrectly, so apologies about that, but it was cold water but still very refreshing, and everyone actually jumped in.
Which was huge. We never had a fire like this big in our country. And we have fires, bushfires every summer, but they are just small. This was just huge. So behind this hill, as I said, from this point, from the hill behind, further on to the left, that's the coast of Croatia. So our border with Croatia is this way on the right side.
On our way to the Blue Cave, we actually saw this old concentration center, which is now actually turned into a 5-star hotel property. It's always so interesting to actually see how such buildings or places unfortunately are renovated and then turned into fancy hotels. That's something that Nina was telling us about there. And we finally made it to the Blue Cave, which is where you can swim in the cave and you will actually find absolutely clear blue water. After the Blue Cave, we then made our way onto the next destination, which is actually where we could see one of the very old places where they used to shelter and keep the bombs and keep their missiles during kind of the war that they had. And Nina talked to us about how this place was used to camouflaged as well, of course, to protect the resources they kept here. It was just all really interesting to hear about all the amazing history that Montenegro has, and I'm really surprised that I actually never knew so much about Montenegro and it wasn't so high up on my bucket list, but I'm actually so happy that I did decide to visit this place. And after this, we were supposed to go to Porto Montenegro, and on the way we ended up actually getting caught into a storm. However, Nina and everyone made sure that our mood was not affected despite the storm.
Okay, we are now with French people. Attention.
Shut up. French people.
Attention. Guys, this is Porto. Who is this phone? Mine phone? No.
More.
Our boss is worried if something happened to the boat. That's for you. Yeah. Okay, so guys, we are now in Porto Montenegro.
As you heard from Nina herself, we reached Porto Montenegro, which is the new and upcoming posh place in Montenegro where you will find lots of expensive yachts and lots of millionaires. Real purpose of stopping here was to have a look around and also get some yummy food, because this was our lunch break. A lot of people chose to have some sit-down meal, but we went for pizza and chips, and we also got some dessert in a place which was right next to the pizza place that we just showed you. The food here was incredible and we highly recommend actually trying out something different. Also get a dessert, get some ice cream on a good day and walk around this place. Unfortunately, the end of our amazing day trip. On the way back, we saw so many amazing mountains, caves, beaches and historical sites.
This is tour guide Nina talking. I wish to thank you all for a good tour, for a good trip.
Absolutely, yes.
I hope everyone had fun. Was everything okay?
Yeah.
This is the mode of honesty, so you have to be honest on the phone. Was everything okay? All good?
It was super fun.
Fortunately, that was the end of our amazing day trip, and if you want to book the same one, do click the link down below in the description. And we really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, then please do subscribe to our channel. It makes a huge difference, and do ask any questions in the comments down below. I do try to respond as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.